Welcome back to the 12th season of The Current. I'm your host, Jessica Castillo, and today we are accompanied by the founder of Queen Esther Teas. Today's episode of The Current starts right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what Queen Esther Teas is all about?
Sure. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Adrienne Arrington-Kenion, and I started Queen Esther Teas, which is an herbal tea company that is based in wellness and healthiness, I guess.
What inspired you to start your tea business specifically?
Actually, it was myself. I had been struggling with some digestive issues with my stomach. I was having like heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach. And of course, my knee-jerk reaction was to go to the pharmacy. And I went to the pharmacy and I checked out all of the things that they had for the symptoms that I was having, but nothing really seemed to give me any relief. So I went to my doctor, and my doctor gave me some prescriptions for some things that were long-lasting and things I had to take every day. And I felt like my symptoms weren't something that I had every day, so I wanted to know what my other options were. So kind of out of frustration, I Googled what people used before medicine, because I know that people had some of these issues before Western medicine actually existed. So I was curious what people did back then. And that's kind of where I started. I started formulating teas based off of the ability of the natural healing properties of herbs.
When starting your own business, what is something that maybe scared you or stopped you from pursuing it?
Almost everything. I am a first-generation business owner, so no one in my family has ever started a business. And my background was in psychology, so I didn't really know anything about business either. So there was a lot of things that were super intimidating, but I just persevered because I believed in the product so much. So it kind of helped me push through those things that initially terrified me.
Oh yeah, for sure. What advice would you give to a college student who wants to start their own business?
Do not wait. And I know you hear this all the time, but a lot of times people are waiting for perfect situations to line up to start things. Like, I need a certain amount of capital, or I need a certain amount of resources. But it really begins when you're ready to start, and everything else will really fall into place. If you believe in your product and you have a good product or a service, or it's ready when you are.
No, yeah, for sure. What has been the hardest part of running your own business? I know that you're a full-time mom, and running a full-time business can get pretty heavy schedule.
Yes. Managing a schedule has been a learning curve, and making sure to make time for not only the back end business of things that is not necessarily so fun, the numbers and things like that, but also making time for myself to be creative so that I can continue to come up with different products, different herbs, and learn more about herbs, because it's a never-ending learning process. So yes, it's been a challenge, but as the business grows, I'm able to get help. And so I would encourage anybody to go ahead and start getting help. Interns, always looking for interns, but people to help you is a great way to kind of manage all of those things that come up.
For sure. What is your most popular drink, and why do you think people love it so much?
So right now we have two departments. So we have tea, which is the loose teas, which is my flagship product, what I started with, and those are like loose tea blends. But we've recently, over the last 3 years or so, introduced ready-to-drink bottles and their lemonades. And the lemonades have done extremely well, linking with local businesses, specifically like On Time and Cheese-Smith and Beach Streets and some of the other local restaurants. They have started to sell their teas in the restaurant, and it has been phenomenal. And the flavors there's so many different flavors that it really changes. Some people like the mango, some people like the lavender lemonade, some people like the passion fruit, but it's the lemonades that are really taking the show right now.
Yeah, I know it's great to see local businesses helping out each other. I know that there's a lot of chains in Wilmington, but I love supporting local businesses. How did you come up with your own teas blends? Like, are they personal recipes, or are you like inspired by certain like flavors?
That is an excellent. I actually started it because of my digestive issues, but I noticed that yes, I mean, plenty of people had made a tea blends before, and I wasn't the first one. So in doing research, I'm tasting other blends, and yes, they may work, but I noticed that sometimes people didn't take too much time about the flavor. And now some people don't care. Some people are like, I just want a tea that works. I don't care how it tastes. But me personally, I want a tea that actually tastes good so that I actually enjoy drinking it. And the benefits of making something that you actually enjoy drinking is you don't necessarily wait until you feel bad to drink it. You're drinking it kind of all the time or whenever you want. And that helps your body kind of build up its natural resistance. So you'll find yourself not necessarily dealing with those symptoms as much anymore because you kind of have the tea in you all the time, if that makes sense.
For sure. Where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
Great question. I have the vision of Queen Esther Teas being accessible to everybody up and down the East Coast and eventually globally, but right now my focus is definitely branching out in a way where I have the manufacturing and I have everything that I needed in order to expand to get the product out to more people.
Yeah, for sure. And then how would you describe your brand in 3 words?
Wellness, community, and love. I really put a lot of love into each one of the bags. Right now, I'm like handbag. I do everything kind of by hand, so I get an opportunity to really put a little piece of myself into each product. So I think love is really important. We need it.
No, yeah. So how does your process go to making products? So you're saying you make the products yourself by hand?
Yes. So I have 2 different ways I kind of approach when I'm making tea. I either want it to be good for you and have a specific result when it comes to your health and wellness. And sometimes I make teas just for fun that just taste good, that just are fruity or just hit that certain taste that people love. And I usually start with, so that's my first way. And then I actually have like a process that I go through where I build the tea with having a base, having layers of flavor on top of it, so it's not a basic tea. It really has a lot of different flavors, and you go through the different flavors as you kind of taste the tea.
And lastly, what would be a great place for people who are interested in your teas to come find you directly?
Well, we do a lot of markets, including the Downtown Farmers Market, which is starting this weekend. It runs on Front and Dock Street. But I also have a location now that's located out in Scotts Hill. So I'm at 101 Scotts Hill Loop Road. I share space with Grumpy Grandpa's Coffee, which is an amazing coffee shop, and a brand new gift shop that just moved in called The Hive on the Hill. So you can check me out there at my shop, Queen Esther Teas.
Okay, that wraps up the interview portion of the show. Stick around and we'll play Tea Matchmaker. But first, let's toss it over to Caroline for Wave Watch.
It is so great seeing a local business have such great success. Check out Queen Esther Teas on Instagram at queen_Esther_teas. Stick around for a fun-filled activity with tea matchmaking. Let's get this party started.
Welcome back. We're here with Queen Esther and we're going to play Tea Matchmaker. So I'm going to give you a description of a person and then you're just going to have to tell me what tea works better for them in your opinion. Okay, so this person is a busy college student who's always on the go, needs energy, but doesn't want something super unhealthy.
Oh, anti-anxiety. I picked that because super busy means sometimes you need to de-stress a little bit. And the anti-anxiety has herbs in it that are specifically formulated to help lower those cortisol levels, help de-stress, but it has just enough green tea in it where you can keep up with the energy and the flow of your day. So definitely anti-anxiety.
Perfect. I'm going to keep that one in mind as a busy college student. This person works night shifts and needs something to stay awake but not crash later.
Wonderful. So we have something called Mentality, and it's made with guayusa, which is kind of in the family of yerba mate, which also would be a good recommendation because it's got some good natural caffeine in it. Also helps you to focus without the crash.
Perfect.
And no jitters and all that other stuff, but yeah.
This person is a teacher talking all day, probably stressed and needs something calming but still refreshing.
Immunity for the teachers every single time because of those germs that those lovely babies bring around. It's very important to have something that has some a lot of vitamins and minerals in it that's going to support you, and immunity does. It has some elderberry in it, which has zinc, has hibiscus in it, which has a lot of vitamin C in it. So for teachers, immunity.
Perfect. This person works out a lot and wants something hydrating and clean.
I would go with a little bit of detox tea, which is a green tea, but it also has some herbs in it that help support circulation, overall wellness, and helps your body to get rid of toxins. So when your body's getting rid of those toxins, you're definitely going to operate and function on a better level.
Perfect, yeah. And they're trying to cut out soda and sugary drinks.
Hibiscus every time, also called agua de Jamaica, which is just a hibiscus tea, but it can be enjoyed hot or cold. And again, it's full of iron and it's full of vitamin C, and it has such a refreshing, hydrating taste.
Perfect. And this is more of a broader question, but for someone who wants to try tea for the first time and is like, would you say what route would you say for an iced tea and then like a hot tea?
Yes. Good question, because a lot of people, when you say tea, they think, sweet tea. And so they're like, I don't like tea. But there are so many hundreds, thousands of different kinds of tea. So I would definitely suggest with trying something that is an herbal tea maybe, because sometimes the tannins in regular tea can be a little bit difficult for some people's palates to appreciate. But when you talk about herbal tea, sometimes you have fruit in those teas like strawberries or apples, and then that can kind of be a gateway or a segue into exploring different teas that you never thought that you might like. And also adding honey or adding some lemon or sugar can also make some tea really good.
I mean, you would say that you could do that for iced and hot drinks?
Definitely. And definitely a lot of the teas I have go both ways. So don't be afraid to try the tea that you normally have hot iced. Don't be afraid. You might like it.
Do you think the flavors taste different when it is hot versus when it's iced? Like, will the flavors change in a way?
I think the flavor kind of stays the same, but when we're talking about wellness, I feel like when you're drinking a warm tea that it kind of hits the areas that you're looking for it to hit a lot faster. But hydration-wise, when it's cold, then it also hits some other things too when you get that cool, refreshing drink. But again, they have different benefits.
Okay, perfect, yeah. I feel like there's a lot of when you think of tea, you think oh, my grandma's warm tea.
I know.
There's a lot of things that people think about, but with the cold and the hot drinks, it's people have choice.
Yes.
You don't have to be sipping on the little tiny teacup.
It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be proper. Some people also shy away from tea because they think it's something that's proper or, but it's really for everybody. And I love with Queen Esther Teas, I try to make it really accessible. I do tea parties sometimes too. And there can be a lot of rules when it comes to tea parties. And my first tea party, I forgot a couple of major things like clotted cream. And I called it a high tea when it was an afternoon tea, and so many faux pas, and it made me nervous, maybe I'm not doing it right. And then I decided to call them Queen Esther Teas. And when they're a Queen Esther tea party, I make the rules.
Yeah.
And you can do that with your tea. You make the rules when you have your cup of tea. If you want it sweet, you make it sweet. If you want it hot, you make it hot. You get to, don't let anybody, like you say, make you think it has to be one way.
Or the other, yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us, Adrienne. It was great to get to interview such a successful local business.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have you maybe next season.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope so.
Stick around next week for our final episode of The Current.